Charmaine Man Andrew, we're coming back, keeping it elegantly Socratic in my Tony Soprano robe. This is the third video in a row I've done. I know you're not going to see them all on the same day. Maybe you will, but I'm not going to post them all on the same day. You watch the videos however you want. I am going to be talking, doing a video request here. I'm going to flip the screen for a minute here to Magi Stern B. I could read that a couple of ways, but I think Magi Stern B. So Magi Stern B basically wants me to talk about quiet in Mage the Ascension. Somehow I've become the Mage the Ascension guru. I believe my channel has more videos on Mage the Ascension than anywhere else on YouTube. I have more videos on Mage the Ascension than any other channel by far. I mean, there's some ridiculous videos where people just put some stupid shit up, man. This video's eating dick pretty much. That's the way I feel about it. But I'm talking about real RPG videos for real RPG players. And that's what we have right here. You feel? Now, I'm going to speak about quiet. And I've had multiple people ask me. I think Herb was the one asking about this too. Okay, how do you do quiet? Not the same way twice. Number one thing. Not the same way twice. Now, the book will tell you the mechanics. I'm not going to pick the book up. I didn't read the mechanics before I did this. I haven't read the mechanics in fucking years. I know what quiet is. I know how to work it, though. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the aspect of description, narrative description, describing with the player, changing it, the flux, the vivid details, the subtext, the tones. That is what we're going to talk about. And number one rule, make it different every time. The hobgoblins of your mind are not to be trifled with because they will smack the piss out of you. Quiet happens when that paradox wheel just keeps eating away and comes up the back of your mind just the way it always does and puts you into the deep slumber. My game, my character went to quiet once and I did not fuck around again with that. Actually, I did. I fucked with paradox a lot, but it slapped the shit out of me one time. It's about... Alright, look. Here's how the game... Straighten that out there. Let's get some more of my fucking awesome neck. And I'm thinking more like a picture right now. Now, this is... I'm sorry, I'm just having a little internal laughter there for a minute with nothing related to this. Just thinking about Rock Our Picture Show. We've seen that. Wish you had a fucking neck. Anyway, so we keep it raw here. My initials are raw, by the way. You didn't know that. They are. Now, for quiet, when you're really getting into that, keep it different. Make it different every single time. Keep the players off their toes. Do not let them know what to expect. Because what you have done is you have unbalanced and upset the natural order of things. Magic is forbidden. Magic is blasphemy against the tapestry, the telerium, the way things ought to be. You're fucking pissing God off, and God will slap the shit out of you. Because God exists in the world of darkness. And the universe is set and ordered in a certain way. The universe is ordered in a certain way because God's a fucking weaver. Fuck him. Fuck God. He is the weaver. God is the weaver. Or maybe it's a she. I don't know. Whatever you want to call the weaver. It's ordered in a certain pattern. And that pattern has become dominant, has become the form of conscious, and the children of the weaver, the technocracy, influence and build that pattern. And when that pattern gets frayed, when it gets out of whack, when you are sitting there undoing the weaving loom of the telerium, things happen, bad things happen, they happen to you, and the telerium may go so far as to write you out of existence. That's right. It's perfectly acceptable to completely write a character out of existence that has really offended the tapestry, because it is reality itself that is rebelling back against you, or at least the controlling force using reality to rebel against you. The winner of the game of control of the paradigm. It is the dominant paradigm which exerts its will and force through the telerium. It is important and quintessential that you understand that when determining what happens, what causes paradox. And when you have too much paradox, eventually paradox comes for that ass. And it gets all up in that ass. And how it does that? How does paradox do that? Well, my character had his bout with paradox. Another one of the important NPCs before me, she had big time paradox. Now it could incur, think of almost going into like a wasting type of sickness. Now think about going into a tremendous, like LSD bad trip experience where things are going crazy, like strange abstract paintings and everything is going off and different, and you're in a whacked out space, it's in between spaces, and it doesn't quite come together. You're seeing things melting, the space melting, people melting the very flesh right off them, and they are looking back at you. Strange, bizarre things are happening, perhaps very horrific things, perhaps not, perhaps a mix of various things. You know, you can have thought bubbles sort of roaming around and seeing the dissolving ideas of your childhood, and perhaps other ideas have been slid in there. Perhaps you'll come back and certain memories will just be gone from the quiet. They'll have been taken away from you. Perhaps something strange and horrifying will come and visit you in your bed at night and begin to pluck and plunder from your head while you sit there and helplessly watch it. And that is a very real memory that you will take with you for the rest of your life. That could be your quiet. It could be as simple as you sitting there and drooling off into a coma-like state of illness for months, years. The rest of your life you could waste away and die in quiet. Quiet is very, very serious. It's something the players need to be afraid of. If they're afraid of your quiet, if they respect your quiet, if they respect Paradox, if they respect the Delirium, you are doing a good job. If they're just fucking randomly throwing shit around, doing whatever the fuck they want, well, you might have some problems as a game master Mage the Ascension, because they need to be scared of these things. These are a horror. Yes, there are times when they need to push and roll the dice, but if they're just rolling them and rolling them and rolling them like that fucking idiot that sits at your table and rolls dice every 5 minutes and you want to punch him in the mouth, and if you're me, you do punch him in the mouth, that you have to lay that out to them. That yes, bad things can, will, and are going to happen to you directly for you continue to mess with this. I say drop the hammer now, continuously. Let the players know that it is terror, 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 because the terror is not knowing, is waiting, is wondering. And don't just go quite with the, just, don't make it mechanical. Don't run around the wheel. But up here and go, okay, now is the time. Now is the season for the pain to be visited upon your mind. It is time for forced penance upon you. Important to think about. Think about that. Make it a different. Bring it up and making it unexpected. Keeping the characters off their toes. You're in quiet. And engage the player, though. Not a punishment. Not the penalty box. Putting you out of the game. You don't get to play. No, man. Give them a great, well-painted, beautiful scene. Stretch your mind to the vistas of imagination you thought not possible to your storytelling skills, because you could put anything out there. Do it different next time. Again, it makes it all the easier for you as a game master, because as long as you're being creative, just let your creativity run wild, and it's a space of strangeness. So nothing's too weird. Nothing's out of bounds. It can be odd. Some part of it might even be a little silly. And if you see a player start getting silly, oh, that's silly, throw the really dark, horrendous things in there. You know, like the things that they see slowly unweaving their soul, pulling the white silvery strands from their very body and undoing it, and seeing that it's taken quite for real a little piece of them, like they changed a little piece of the universe, and they can look down with their magic and forever see inside themselves a little unraveled bit of their soul, undone and taken out by the hobgoblin that's come for them. And they find out those hobgoblins weren't just a figment of their imagination, but something far realer than they are, because that hobgoblin holds a fragmented piece of their soul, much like they unwove reality itself in their utter pathetic arrogance and pride. So too have they now been unbound, and forever they'll be missing things. Those beautiful, lovely childhood memories are gone. They have been exploited, enslaved, and taken by the strange things that lurk in between worlds to enforce the will of law and rule upon the arrogant. The memory of your mother, the memory of your child, the memory of your first kiss, the first time you embarrassed yourself, the first girl you had a crush on, the first love letter you wrote, the first song you listened to and really liked, the first time an idea clicked, the first thing you were proud of, your greatest athletic achievement. Any of these memories could be taken. Your soul could be unwoven and pulled out through your nose and go into detail that makes the player stop and go, ooh, this shit's real. They will respect you for that. They will appreciate that. And they just get a little bit scared. And when they do, they go, ooh, yeah. And the other players go, ooh, Jim just lost part of his soul. bit of his soul. I ain't trying to have part of my soul taken. I ain't trying to have part of my avatar damaged. See, now you can bring it back, right? You have the avatar, and it talks to him. And when they come out, maybe the avatar's crying. Maybe the avatar's in pain. It's hurt, it's weak, it's injured. It feels the suffering, the sting of what they have been put through in the state of quiet. And it mourns the loss of that sanity, of that purity, because it's an unweaving, a taking, and a damaging of the pure aspect of the entity in their arrogance. And worst of all, in your heart of hearts, you know you deserve everything you've got and more. Because who are you to undo the will of reality itself? No one. And you will be dealt with accordingly. And when the players realize and understand that, they will not fuck around anymore. They will respect the great power of awakening. They will take a pure road to ascension. They will be very careful. And when they are not, they will be very scared of the very real consequence of not being shot with a gun. But is it worth risking the stopping of the bullet in front of your face when the hobgoblins come? When the wasting comes? Is that sanity stripping experience worth not just taking a bullet right to the head? Maybe, just maybe, that's a better solution. And when quiet is weighed in such high regard and such horror, well, they are going to get their experience out of the game. You are going to, boom, hit a home run, because Mage is every single type of game rolled into one, and quiet is your high-end horror, personal horror, insanity, derangement, the picking apart of different aspects. And here I'm harping about one part, but remember, quiet can be anything. Quiet might be something so mundane as just having this long experience when they were a kid with their dad under a old Mustang fixing it up. And when their dad pulls out from under the Mustang, it's not their dad, it's someone else. The Mustang wasn't theirs, it's not their house. And they know that. But as they come out of quiet, they don't know that anymore. It was that house they grew up in. That guy was their dad. That was the Mustang the dad drove. It was their first car. Their dad gave it to them. And when they think really, really hard, they know that's not real. But it is real. Or is it? What's happened? It gets strange. That is the number one thing you want to do with quiet. It's strange. It's scary. And it can be all kinds of places. It can be, like I said, literally having their soul unwoven by reality. It could be being woven out of reality. That you never existed. Like those old sci-fi movies. Well, why don't they just send Predator back to kill, or why don't they send the Terminator back to kill your mother's mother so you were never born? Reality might do that shit to you. So nothing is too big, but nothing's too small either. And it might be very, very small, and it might take sessions and sessions of play to actually figure out how they got fucked. When all of a sudden, this just isn't there anymore. You know, and you can work other shit in. You know, and if you use flashback scenes and stuff like that in your game, you can flash back to some stuff. That shit never happened. It never really happened. And when they try to go and access and get with that, well, it's not there. Or you flashback to something that did happen, but now that doesn't happen anymore. Someone else has been taken out. You may also, in your quiet, have fucked someone else really hard. You may get someone else taken out of reality. You may cause rippling effects around you to enlist other players. And when your soul gets torn up enough, when you see enough hobgoblins, when reality has had enough of you, when it begins to unravel you and push you down as his evil want is to do, maybe you say no. I am God. I am in control. And in your utter, complete arrogance, you say, I will dictate reality to you. And you hulk up. And you pull the robe off. And you say, well, you know something, dude. I'm embracing the power of the Marauders. And that's right. That's how you get a Marauder. Marauders aren't born. They're normal mages. They just go a little wonky and quiet in solitary confinement. That's another great way to play it up. Solitary confinement. And that's the road you take to being the Marauder. There's so many bizarre stories you can tell, but just think way outside the box. That's what they want you to do with Quiet. Make it this limitless vista of possibility, so that when you're operating within these realms, you might have the whole thing construed up and they think they're in an umbral quest, but in reality, it's all in your head.